Well, I am so excited to be here today with you, Darian. Of course, I'm Latetao Hutchinson. I am the Vice President of Communications and Community Engagement with JP Morgan Chase, our Chase Home Lending site here in Monroe. And we're here today because we are investing in diversity, equity, and inclusion here in Monroe, Louisiana, the
Yes, we
great
are.
city, the Twin Cities.
That's right.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Darian.
My name is Darian Atkins. I am the Executive Director of Community and Public Relations at Louisiana Delta Community College. I am deeply invested in the practice of diversity, equity, and inclusion because I understand and appreciate the power that it brings to a community and to individuals on a very personal basis.
I love that. The power that it brings to individuals and communities
Mm-hmm.
on a personal basis.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. With the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, we are on a mission. The Chamber is on a mission to focus on diversity.
Yeah.
And so for a long time, we've had the Diversity Committee. We have our wonderful chairs and co chairs that are over this committee. But recently, JP Morgan Chase has invested in the Diversity Committee, and others have invested as well. And so you have been a part of this investment to expand our committee and to lead some workshops in our community.
Yes.
Our first workshop was in March, and you started it out with that personal investment.
Mm-hmm.
You started it out talking about the leaders.
Yes.
So tell us about that. That first conversation, I remember the feedback from it was that it wasn't what people thought it was going to be. When
I
you
love
say,
that.
I know, right?
I love that.
When you say I'm going to have a diversity workshop, they think, oh my goodness, what are they going to talk about?
Mm-hmm.
It will be this really uncomfortable situation and conversation, and sometimes that is needed.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, you decided to start us out talking about leadership.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah, you know, the term diversity, equity, and inclusion has been hijacked, and and the beauty of it has been taken away in that hijacking. And I like to direct people's attention back to the original beauty of diversity, equity, and inclusion because it's a beautiful thing. Um, and we look at it in its hijacked fashion as something exclusionary. We're looking to exclude this group or that person or that thing. And it's such the opposite. It's inclusive. And when people hijack it for their own agendas, it automatically sows division when the original intent is to sow unity. It's to bring people together. It's to bring us all on the same page as humans, exposing our human self, our human condition, how we're all tempted and likely to feel in given circumstances. And in this hijack state, those feelings are made to look like they are like scarlet letters, like you're a horrible person for feeling this way or for thinking these things. And in truth, don't we all think things that we shouldn't think? Don't we all have feelings about stuff that we really shouldn't have? And so when we're honest with ourselves about whatever our own thoughts or feelings are, and we decide to own them, then we can do something about them. Then, when we're in that space, then we're bringing our best selves to everyone else, to our families, to our communities, to our work environments. Then we're being productive and positive, and we're sowing positive energy.
Oh my goodness, you said so much. I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. I was taking notes in March. I'm taking notes again. I heard so much with what you just said. So I heard the original beauty of
Mm-hmm.
diversity, equity, and inclusion. That original beauty of what it was intended to be.
Yeah.
Right? The spirit and the letter, not just the letter of it, but the spirit
The
of what it
spirit
was
of it.
intended to be.
Mm-hmm.
Not exclusionary, right?
Right.
Inclusive.
Yeah.
You talked about the human condition,
The human condition.
right? That goes back to that unconscious bias conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think in most corporate settings, and if you go, there's a lot of talk about that unconscious bias.
And we all
You know,
have it.
we all have it. There's the conscious bias that sometimes we don't like
And
to
we
acknowledge.
all know it.
Right?
We all
right?
know it.
Right?
Yes.
So that unconscious bias it can be a trigger word. It can be a thing that people just say,
Mm-hmm.
talking about it just to be talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are really intentional and strategic about why you're having this conversation and the results that you want to have from it, you can accomplish a lot of what you said.
Yeah.
You mentioned owning it. That
yeah.
was the goal of that first March conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Get the leaders in the room, get us to talking and realizing that it starts with us as the leaders of our community,
Right.
as the leaders in business, leaders in our homes.
Exactly.
It starts with us. And that trickles to us being able to bring our best self to work.
That's it.
Be productive, positive, come into our settings with that, positive spirit, positive mindset, so that diversity, conversations of equity, being inclusive,
It can
just
all
becomes,
be appreciated.
yes, and ingrained into what
yeah.
we do without so much effort.
Yes. And the focus of that first session was on effective teams, building effective teams. But a team is reflective of its leadership. And so if the leader is broken, as we all are to some degree, that leader is going to sow that within that group. And that leader determines the culture of that group. It determines how people's behaviors look, what they think and feel to some degree, what's allowed, what's permitted, what's not permitted, sets the boundaries. I mean, it all goes back to the leader. That's why we looked at the individual, because I wanted people to understand the awesome power that they have to bring harmony and productivity to the workplace. They have the power to do that. They also have the power to not do that. And when they choose the power to not do that, what you're looking at as a business is high retention rates, turnover, cost. Businesses aren't in the business of losing money. It costs more to replace employees, to recruit and replace, than it does to retain. And so when a manager or when a supervisor chooses not to bring their best selves to the table, they're not going to have a very productive team. I've read it over and over again that people don't leave companies. They leave managers and supervisors and bosses. And I have seen that in my own life be true. People will leave a job that they love because they feel that they've been run out because the environment is too toxic. And since COVID, when we've had the great job migration and people are finding other ways to make money, they feel like they don't have to settle for toxic environments.
Right.
So that's another motivator, or should be another motivator for companies to invest in leadership development.
You know what I'm hearing? I second everything you just said. And what I'm hearing is adaptability.
Yes.
Resilience,
Yep.
right? We learned that during COVID, that we must adapt.
We have to.
We should see that just from nature, from our environment. But COVID really helped that for businesses that thrive, for businesses that survive, they learned that we must adapt.
They were
right?
paying attention.
Yes, diversity, equity, inclusion, that whole conversation, it's about a lot of things. It's about changing policy,
Yes, it
change
is.
in people, potentially your products. It's about your presence. It's about a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned sowing seeds and this conversation about um, how diversity, equity, inclusion is not just philanthropic as some would think,
No.
right? I am giving something
Mm-hmm.
and all I'm doing is giving.
It goes beyond cash gifts. It goes beyond donations. True change comes from within an individual. True and lasting change.
And even beyond giving to an individual or dollars, it goes beyond giving a job, giving an opportunity, um, providing that product or service. In other words, for business owners, not only is it the right thing to do, a good thing to do personally for oneself, it's good for business,
Yes, it is.
right? And that's
Yes, it is.
the next part of this conversation of sowing seeds, beginning with the leader
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about it even from a business mindset of recruiting,
Mm-hmm.
retaining, hiring, top talent,
Yeah.
that reducing that your attrition because your employees have a very good positive culture in their work environment. And so that leads us to our upcoming workshop, which is this
Yes.
Thursday.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
this
Great
Thursday,
conversation.
12 to 1:30,
That's it.
Monroe Civic Center, Louisiana room.
Mm-hmm.
You will bring part 2 of this series.
Mm-hmm.
And your topic this time is this focus on equity in hiring and promotions.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. Give us a little teaser.
I tell you, you know, the impression that a person have of you doesn't begin with the official face to face. A person who's applying for a job, they're going to go on your website. They're going to check you out before they ever step foot in your door. At least one that's serious and one that's worth having. They're going to do their homework. So, what's your social image saying about you? What's your brand look like? Is your brand saying that you're inclusive? And then beyond that, when they get to the interview, when you're sitting around the table looking at the panel, what are you saying? Am I going to feel inclusive? Am I going to feel like I'm probably going to be valued in this company? And then when you start to work there, what is the culture saying? As you said earlier, it's more than just even being given a job. If you're given that job and then ignored and it's just a check off, I hired a woman. Have you really done something? What's her chances of being valued for what she brings to the table? What's her chance of being given the opportunity to show what talent she has, to be considered for that promotion? What are all the things that factor into those decisions that makes you decide or lean towards this person or that person? Some of that is unconscious bias. Some of it is conscious bias. And I don't want people to hear that and feel like you're being attacked. We all have conscious bias and unconscious bias. It's natural. It's natural, but when we can recognize it in ourselves and within our own selves, challenge the validity of that, you're in a good space. And so we're going to talk about all of that, how all of those things work together and how they work for us. Some things work for us and some things work against us. Some things work for that person that we're interviewing, some things work against them. And we're going to look at how we can be better in this interviewing and promotion process.
Love it. Love it. Well, I am so excited for our upcoming workshop this Thursday.
Me too.
I'll tell you, working for Chase here in Monroe, it has been really an honor and a pleasure to sponsor this diversity committee. This is how we do business. This is our goal to ingrain this diversity, equity, inclusion, just the mindset into our everyday, you know, walk of life, into how we do business at all times. But it looks like this. It looks like sponsorship, giving dollars that are specific to initiatives that we want to focus on. It looks like hiring and being strategic and specific about how we hire and who we engage with, that is in that lane. It looks like a lot of things, but it's intentional. And so when I think about the upcoming workshop and everything you just said about really inviting people to the table, it reminds me of that saying that when you think about, you know, and you could probably say it better than I, but when you think about that diversity, equity, inclusion, it's not just inviting someone to this table, right?
Right.
I'm inviting you to the table. I'm asking you to bring a meal. Your you know, your piece of the pie is just as important as my piece of the pie. I welcomed you into my home. I didn't just invite you. You were welcome when you came here. It's all of that. It's that same conversation of, you know, you can invite someone to a dance, but do you really want them on the dance floor?
Exactly.
Do you let them put their moves in, no matter how quirky or weird or whatever it may be to you?
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
And that's all a part of it, being respectful and being inclusive of others. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. It's going to be good.
It is going to be good. I know that we originally were planning to have this at Benoit, but it's changed. The location is changed to Monroe Civic Center. Which room was it?
Louisiana room.
Louisiana room. And you can register online at the Chamber of Commerce, Monroe Chamber of Commerce website, correct?
That is correct. This Thursday, noon to 1:30.
Come on out and join us.
Yes, Darian will be our host. Great conversation. And we want to remind you all that although this event is hosted by the Chamber, right, the Chamber's goal is to empower, educate, uplift our business communities, especially our small business community. But this conversation is for all.
Yes, it is.
Right? You do not have to be a business owner to register and attend this event.
You don't even have to be a leader right now. If you're an aspiring leader, if in your heart you know your career moves include leading someone at some point, it's for you.
It's for you. It's for you. I'll even say, you know, sometimes on the job, you may not have that role of being a manager or a people leader, but you lead with influence.
Exactly.
And so even if you're that person and you lead with influence in your home, in your community, on your job, this conversation is for you because it provides information that you can take back to your place of business, your home, your community. And that is our goal, to expand and, you know, I would say each one teach one, however you want to say it, right? We're going to multiply this effort.
That's it. That's it.
All right. Well, that's all I have for today. Darian, any closing thoughts or remarks?
Clear your schedule and come on out. We'll be glad to have you.
Yes. We can't wait to see you.